Hey there, my name's Ryan Dossey, and in today's video, we're gonna talk about how you go from like small-ish wholesale deals, like $2,000 to $3,000 type of wins to $15,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 and up. Be sure to like the video. Let's dive right in. So in the last case study we released, we talked about a deal that we had to like renegotiate on and work with our buyer and seller to get closed when the seller ended up owing more money than they thought that they initially did. I'll link to that one above in case you haven't seen it, but we're gonna talk about a little bit of a healthier deal today. On this one, it's one we wholesaled to a friend of mine who also follows me on Instagram, who will most definitely see this. I don't know if he knows how much we made, but we have the relationship that we both make money, we both win, so we don't really care. We made 16,000 bucks. I'm gonna walk you through where it came from, the actual lead in my CRM. As always, the only thing we ask is be sure to like the video and subscribe. We're not doing like, today's video is sponsored by this screwdriver or any like, BS stuff like that. So appreciate you supporting the channel and helping us grow. So diving right in, I want to share a story that I had where a friend of mine kind of like kicked me in the teeth, which my wife hates that expression, but I find it accurate. I was super, super broke. This would have been back in 2016. And a friend of mine was constantly posting these like big deals on Facebook, like $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. And I'm sitting there cashing these really, really small wholesale checks, like $3,000, $4,000 when it's costing me $2,000 to find it, where I'm like barely breaking even. So I like slid into his DMs and I was like, hey, Frank, it's really cool that you make so much money. I'm kind of like poor. Can you like explain to me how you're able to close such big deals? And I'm gonna share Frank's direct response. Frank goes, well, Ryan, the reason you close small deals is because you're a bitch. And I was like, I am a real estate investor. Where does this man get off, right? And I was like, come again? Like, did I not hear you correctly? And he was like, no, you're getting these little like bitch deals because you don't have the balls to negotiate great deals. You're settling for these small, like you're building in these teeny tiny profit margins. If I can make a couple grand here, a couple grand there. And he was like, my minimum for me to even entertain the deal, I've got to be making at least $8,000 to $10,000. And I was like, I don't think I'd ever had a $10,000 deal at that point. So we now do the same thing. And this deal is a perfect example of what kind of a max allowable offer is and why you want to hold it. So hopping into my CRM here, I always get asked anytime I show this, like, yo, what's your CRM? We use Resimpli. I did a video on that one that I will link to above as well. This particular property initially came into our CRM back on November 19th, and the deal actually closed, like we got paid on December 23rd for an assignment to us of 16,000 bucks. So not too shabby of a deal at all. This particular deal came off of the direct mail that I'd mentioned in the previous video. So it was a ballpoint marketing piece sent to properties that were built in 1989 or later, 1,000 square foot or larger, 3 bedrooms or more, 1.5 bath or more, and an attached 2-car garage. This is the kind of inventory I'm looking for. This is like my sweet spot. You can see in this property, like, they've got a lot of junk in the house, but overall, like this is a super solid house that really just kind of needs like some updating and things of that nature. I'm not normally looking for like massive construction projects. I'll be blunt, I just don't have the eye for it. I'm not somebody who like walks into a home and like, oh my gosh, the potential. I walk into it and I'm like, what do we need to do to sell this thing for a respectable ARV? That's like a quick in and out, kitchen, bathroom, carpet, paint, one and done, in and out is what I'm looking for. Not like, well, I'm going to spend $100,000 here on construction. So, you know, this property honestly is kind of like a carpet and paint, update the kitchens and bathrooms, clean out all the junk, and should have a done deal. So this particular one really didn't take that long to close. It was a little over a month. So it's always important to keep in mind kind of that like when your cash goes out versus when it comes back in. But you can see the numbers we ran right here. So house looks like it's in good shape. You could tear the deck out and build steps or put in a new deck for like $1,000. Interior paint, $5,000, kitchen $4,000, flooring $6,500, power wash it, bathroom trash out, miscellaneous. If it were me, if I was doing this deal, I'd also probably replace the garage doors because they weren't all that great. So we use the 75% rule, which I've done whole videos on. I'll link to one above. So we thought the property was worth $150,000. 75% rule has us at 113. 26,000 was what they estimated in construction for a max allowable offer, or we call it MAO, meaning I don't want to go above this number of $77,000. Now, we don't normally start at our max, because if you come out the gate with your best offer, you like don't have any wiggle room or any negotiation prowess to be able to come up. So on this one, we went a little bit lower and we actually got the property for less than our max. So we'd budgeted in on this one a $10,000 kind of buffer. We got it a little bit below that. So $12,000 was kind of the difference between 75% minus repairs and what we thought we could sell it for. And then the other thing we do anytime we send out a deal, we try to squeeze in a little bit more. So we bump it a little bit on the top. So instead of us making $10,000 on this deal, if we just offered our max and stuck to it, because we got a little bit of a better deal and then pushed our asking price on the sale side a little bit, we ended up making right at $16,000. Now, why this is important for you. There was a gentleman that I'd talked to probably like a year ago that was interested in joining our mastermind group. And he was like, hey, Ryan, I did 50 deals. I don't remember exactly what like his metrics were, so I'm going to kind of make them up as I go. But it was something like his typical cost to find a deal was $5,000. And on his deals, he averaged, you know, kind of a small-ish profit margin, like maybe 7,500. So the conversation him and I had had, he was like, hey, I'm getting kind of burned out. You know, I spent $250,000 is what that would be on marketing in order to make $375,000. So this is actually very similar to the conversation we had. So you subtract that out, and he was like, my actual like net was only 125 grand to do like 4 or 5 deals a month. Now, don't get me wrong. Like when I started out, if you told me I could make 6 figures, I'd be thrilled. I can tell you now, I probably wouldn't want to do 50 deals to make that little money. So the conversation him and I had was, what if your cost per deal stayed exactly the same, but you were able to negotiate better profit margins? So let's say instead of this guy averaging a profit of $7,500 a deal, he was able to get up to 12,000. So this guy's same year, he would have been at 600 grand minus his $250,000 in spend, would have walked with 350 grand. That's a big, big difference in like take-home income. Homeschooled, so I don't know the percentage, but something like 3x, right? So to be able to make 3 times the amount of money by just getting a little bit of a better deal and making sure you have the best buyers on your list where you're making a little bit more money is going to be the difference between you being like a broke or cash poor real estate investor and being financially comfortable, being able to travel and do the things you want, spend time with your family, whatever it is that's like your why that gets you fired up. For me, it's travel, family, and I want to drive whatever I want. Hopefully you found this particular video helpful. These are just real life examples of a small deal I had on the last one we just released versus kind of a, I would call this like a second base hit, right? It's not a home run, but at the end of the day, $16,000 in income back into the company on one transaction is nothing to be upset about. I appreciate you taking the time to like this video. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications if you appreciate this level of transparency. I'll talk to you next time.